The emergence of the period of the globalized economy has given marine trade and transportation a very significant role. In order to boost marine transportation's effectiveness, as there is a growing need for container freighter transportation, more and larger container freighters are being built and produced. The world's largest container ship, which is the offspring of a Mediterranean shipping firm, was built by a South Korean corporation. A nation's industrial progress, which necessitates not just science and technology, but also a significant quantity of capital expenditure, is symbolized by the shipbuilding sector. The Samsung Group of South Korea started making investments in the shipbuilding sector in 1973 and established a shipyard called Samsung Heavy Industries. More than 10,000 people work for the shipbuilding firm, which includes a plant that occupies around 6,000 acres. South Korea overtook other nations in the shipbuilding sector after continued investment and expansion up until 1999, making it the largest shipbuilding nation in the world. The shipbuilding facility owned by Samsung Heavy Industries is a key player in the Korean shipbuilding market. Samsung Heavy Industries Shipyard has built numerous huge container ships that South Korea has exported to other countries using its shipbuilding expertise and technology. The Grierson, the largest container ship in the world, was also constructed here, but its construction and design are fascinating. In order to establish such a massive garrison freighter, the steel plate welding strategy was chosen by Samsung Heavy Industries Shipyard. The first step is to create a massive steel plate that is 22 meters long and 8 meters wide. On the dock, shipbuilders must weld steel plates. To create a piece of the hull, these complete modules will be welded together like Lego bricks. Around 800 tons of weight are in one portion of the hull. After all of the module welding has been finished, the hull is broken up into 67 parts. A sizable gantry will then move the hull to the dock for additional processing. The hull will be welded together in the dock facility to create the freighter's hull. Moreover, the hull will require 6 months of welding work. It's crucial to keep equilibrium when loading and unloading cargo on large ships. As a result, engineers created 34 ballast tanks inside the hull so that when the weight on one side of the ship is insufficient and the hull tilts, the ballast tank on the opposite side may add weight to itself by sucking in ballast water through the water pump. Each ballast tank can now hold up to 1,000 tons of weight, and the issue of the freighter tipping unbalancedly when loading and unloading cargo has been completely resolved. The German freighter will be fitted with a power system that will allow it to sail. Of course, the power system is rather large, measuring 27 meters in width and 13 meters in height. It weighs 2,500 tons and is made in Germany by MAN Energy Corporation. In terms of cylinder size, it is the biggest marine engine ever built. It is simple to accommodate an adult to install the engine. The engineers chose to divide the engine into 3 pieces, which was then lifted into the hull by workmen. The personnel must be extremely careful while inserting the engine into the hull for installation since it cannot be slightly bumped. The powertrain also requires a propeller when the engine is put together. The individual's propeller is larger than 10 meters and is also a native of Germany. To make the propeller, workers first constructed a mold that measured 12 meters in length, melted a significant quantity of bronze at a temperature of 1200 degrees, and then poured the molten metal into the mold. Concurrently, in order to preserve the propeller's capacity to perform its intended purpose, the workers used metal compounds such as steel and nickel, which are resistant to the corrosive effects of seawater. In the end, a distance of 8,000 kilometers was covered to successfully install the 117-ton propeller at the Samsung Heavy Industries Shipyard. As a result of the enhancements made to the electricity system, the propeller will be reliably attached to the power shaft by the use of a 2.5-ton nut by the engineers. The GERSSON will finish the construction of the freighter by installing a lashing bridge on the deck of the vessel. When the workers first began transporting the lashing bridge, they did so with the assistance of a gantry crane. When the lashing bridge is positioned such that it is parallel to the deck, when the gantry lowers the lashing bridge to a vertical position on the deck, the workers will solder it to ensure that it is securely fastened there. During this phase of the procedure, the crew must check that the lashing bridge is aligned in a straight line with the deck. In the event that the lashing bridge is not perpendicular to the deck, there is a chance that the container will become stuck on the bridge. After 8 months of manufacturing, The GERSSON successfully completed the construction of the hull power system and the deck lashing bridge. When it was completed, the cargo ship Gerson was 399.9 meters in length, 61 meters in width, and had the capacity to transport a load of up to 220,000 tons. It took less than 4 months to build, but it has already become the largest container ship in the world. It is even longer than an aircraft carrier. In a little under a year, the bridge, the freighter rest cabin, vital communication infrastructure, and the most up-to-date navigation system will all be finished being built by workers and engineers. In order to evaluate the multiple signs provided by the ship, the complete garrison freighter was fully constructed. The engineers activated the water pump in order to begin the process of pumping water into the dry dock. When the dry dock was finally completely filled with seawater, the garrison floated lazily on top of the water that was in the dock. A professional survey conducted by engineers found that the design and construction of the cargo ship occur and are totally consistent with the rules for usage. This information was gleaned from the survey. Once the inspection was over, a fleet of tugboats assisted in returning the freighter garrison to the sea. Following the christening of the cargo ship that was being delivered, it sailed to another port in order to receive more finishing touches. A shipping company that operates in the Mediterranean was responsible for the naming and christening of the gigantic ship. Following that, the Gull Song set sail from George Island in South Korea and made its way to a seaside city in China located to the east. The first stop upon arrival in China was at the port of Qingdao, which is located in China. In 2 weeks from now, the Gerson will arrive at the port of Qingdao carrying a total of 4234 standard containers. This will mark the first time the world's largest container ship has ever arrived at a port in Qingdao. The song that was being sought continued its journey southward until it arrived at Yantian Port in Shenzhen, where it was loaded. To mark the occasion of the first voyage of this large ship, the Gerson successfully loaded and unloaded a combined total of around 4,200 containers while operating off of shore power. MSI and Yantian International Company worked together to put on the occasion for the first trip of the new ship. At the initial trip occasion, there were well than 100 persons there, some of whom had leadership positions in government or port departments. After its departure from Yantian Port, the Sung will proceed to sail via the maritime Silk Road, pass through the Strait of Malacca, and finally arrive in Europe with a load of more than 23,000 TEUs. This trip is an amazing experience all the way through. According to the development plan, the Mediterranean Shipping Corporation would eventually build a fleet consisting of 11 extremely large freighters. While demand for extremely large ships continues to rise, shipyards in China and South Korea are planning to construct 10 other superships similar to the Gerson. Because of this, the cost of shipping during that time period will be significantly reduced. As a consequence of this, many other types of international commerce will see growth. Share your opinion in comments. Also, click on this video to watch about another shocking project.